this report as we return to our Expanding the Debate special. We break the sound barrier by bringing you the first debate, the presidential debate held at Hofstra University between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, stop the tape after they have each of their 2 minutes, and expand it with the major third-party candidates. We are here with Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein. We invited the Libertarian presidential candidate, Gary Johnson, but Jill Stein accepted, and she is responding to the same questions posed to the major party candidates. Back to Lester Holt.
Mr. Trump, this year, Secretary Clinton became the first woman nominated for president by a major party. Earlier this month, you said she doesn't have, quote, a presidential look. She's standing here right now. What did you mean by that?
She doesn't have the look. She doesn't have the stamina. I said she doesn't have the stamina. And I don't believe she does have the stamina. To be president of this country, you need tremendous stamina.
The quote was, I just don't think she has a presidential look.
Wait a minute, Lester, you asked me a question. Did you ask me a question? You have to be able to negotiate our trade deals. You have to be able to negotiate, that's right, with Japan, with Saudi Arabia. I mean, can you imagine we're defending Saudi Arabia, and with all of the money they have, we're defending them and they're not paying? All you have to do is speak to them. Wait, you have so many different things you have to be able to do, and I don't believe that Hillary has the stamina.
Let's let her respond.
Well, as soon as he travels to 112 countries and negotiates a peace deal, a ceasefire, a release of dissidents, an opening of new opportunities in nations around the world, or even spends 11 hours testifying in front of a congressional committee, he can talk to me about stamina.
The world, let me tell you, Hillary has experience, but it's bad experience. We have made so many bad deals during the last, so she's got experience, that I agree, but it's bad experience. Whether it's the Iran deal that you're so in love with, where we gave them $150 billion back, whether it's the Iran deal, whether it's anything you can name, you almost can't name a good deal. I agree. She's got experience, but it's bad experience. And this country can't afford to have another 4 years of that kind of experience.
We are at the final question.
One thing, Lester, is, you know, he tried to switch from looks to stamina. But this is a man who has called women pigs, slobs, and dogs, and someone who has said pregnancy is an inconvenience to employers, who has said women don't deserve equal pay unless they do as good a job as men. And one of the worst things he said was about a woman in a beauty contest. He loves beauty contests, supporting them and hanging around them. And he called this woman Miss Piggy. Then he called her Miss Housekeeping because she was Latina. Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her name is Alicia Machado.
Where did you find
and she has become a U.S. citizen, and you can bet she's going to vote this November.
Okay, good. Let me just tell you.
Mr. Trump, just take 10 seconds, and then we're going to have the final question.
Hillary is hitting me with tremendous commercials. Some of it said in entertainment. Some of it said somebody who's been very vicious to me, Rosie O'Donnell. I said very tough things to her, and I think everybody would agree that she deserves it, and nobody feels sorry for her. But you want to know the truth? I was going to say something extremely rough to Hillary, to her family, and I said to myself, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's inappropriate. It's not nice. But she spent hundreds of millions of dollars on negative ads on me, many of which are absolutely untrue. They're untrue, and they're misrepresentations. And I will tell you this, Lester, it's not nice, and I don't deserve that. But it's certainly not a nice thing that she's done. It's hundreds of millions of ads, and the only gratifying thing is I saw the polls come in today, and with all of that money, over $200 million is spent, and I'm either winning or tied, and I've spent practically nothing.
Dr. Jill Stein, your response.
more heat than light, I'm afraid to say, throughout much of this so-called debate between the two corporate candidates. In this country, you know, we have two major political parties, which are in fact no longer the major voting bloc. The largest voting bloc has repudiated both the Democratic and Republican parties because, in fact, Americans are tired of being thrown under the bus. They are tired of this rigged economy, and they are tired of the rigged political system that has created this economy, and they are also rejecting at unprecedented levels the two candidates that are being forced down their throats as the most disliked and untrusted candidates in our history. I am the only candidate in this race who is not taking money from lobbyists, from corporations, from, I do not have a super PAC to coordinate with or not. I'm the one candidate that actually has the freedom to stand up for what the American people are clamoring for. That means an emergency jobs program, which will solve the emergency of climate change. It means bailing out the students like they bailed out Wall Street, the crooks on Wall Street who crashed the economy. It's time to bail out the victims. And let me just mention about that, there are 43 million young people right now, and not so young people, Gen Xers and on into middle age and well beyond, who are trapped into student loan debt because once you get in, you cannot get out. Very few get out, actually, in the current economy that we have of low-wage, part-time, and temporary jobs. So people get stuck in student loan debt. But it turns out that 43 million is actually a winning plurality of the vote in a three-way race. So when people say, oh, resistance is futile, why even bother? Surely, you know, you're wasting your time. You know, that is part of the propaganda to keep us locked in this system. In the words of Alice Walker, the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. We do have the power. It's time to stand up and use it. And just by students coming out, people who are carrying student loan debt coming out to cancel that debt and voting green in 2016, we actually have the power to turn this election on its head.
Let's go back to Lester Holt for the final question of the debate.
One of you will not win this election. So my final question to you tonight, are you willing to accept the outcome as the will of the voters? Secretary Clinton?
Well, I support our democracy. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But I certainly will support the outcome of this election. And I know Donald's trying very hard to plant doubts about it, but I hope the people out there understand this election's really up to you. It's not about us so much as it is about you and your families and the kind of country and future you want. So I sure hope you will get out and vote as though your future depended on it, because I think it does.
Mr. Trump, very quickly, the same question. Will you accept the outcome as the will of the voters?
I want to make America great again. We are a nation that is seriously troubled. We're losing our jobs. People are pouring into our country. The other day, we were deporting 800 people, and perhaps they passed the wrong button, they pressed the wrong button, or perhaps, worse than that, it was corruption. But these people that we were going to deport for good reason ended up becoming citizens. And it was 800, and now it turns out it might be 1,800, and they don't even know.
Will you accept
Look,
the outcome
here's the
of the election?
story. I want to make America great again. I'm going to be able to do it. I don't believe Hillary will. The answer is, if she wins, I will absolutely support her.
Jill Stein, will you accept the outcome of the election?
Well, this is a very wounded democracy. If there is evidence of voter fraud, we will challenge it and we will bring it to court, as the Greens have led the way in doing before. But, you know, I think our job here is not to surrender to a very corrupt system, whichever one of these candidates wins. Donald Trump has had $4 billion worth of free primetime media. Hillary Clinton has had $2 billion worth of free primetime media. We've had essentially zip, and as a non-corporate campaign, we don't have big bucks to put the word out, but we are doing well in the polls relative to how other non-corporate third-party candidates have done. So this is the time for us to stand up. In this election, we are not just deciding what kind of a world we will have, but whether we will have a world or not going forward, looking at the climate change that's barreling down on us, the threat of nuclear weapons, and these massive expanding wars for which there is no end in sight under both Democrats and Republicans, and specifically Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. This is a time for us to stand up for the future we deserve, to reject the lesser evil, and to fight for the greater good, like our lives depend on it, remembering that we do have the votes if we stand up with the courage of our convictions.
And that's Jill Stein of the Green Party, along with Hillary Clinton, Democratic Party, and Donald Trump, Republican Party. That does it for our Expanding the Debate special. Watch the full 2-hour special at democracynow.org. And also watch our debate night roundtable with Eddie Glaude, Alan Nairn, Ramsey Kassem, Arlie Russell-Hochschild, Shama Sawant, and Isabel Garcia at democracynow.org. Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Burke, Noreen Sheikh, Carla Wills, Laura Gottesdiener, Dina Guzder, Sam Alkoff, Robbie Karen, Hani Massoud, Sharina Nadura, Andre Lewis, Mike DeFilippo, Miguel Noguera, Paul Huckabee, our engineers. Special thanks to Becca Stelly, Julie Crosby, Hugh Grant, David Prude, Ariel Boone, Vesta Godars, Anthony Manzo, and to our camera crew as well. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks so much to Joe Parker. Thanks for joining us.